Good morning, friends. We are back in the kitchen and we're going to finish up the pantry challenge for some breakfast items. This morning I'm going to be making sugar crusted muffins, and then I'm also going to be making pancake muffins. So I've got my ovens preheating and my bacon is cooking, and so while those things are going, we're going to work on the sugar crusted muffins. This is a recipe. I don't remember if it came just from my mom or from my grandma, so it's been in the family for a while. And what's great about this is they are really good by themselves, but you can also add in frozen fruits, fresh fruits, a variety of different things to change up their flavor profile. For today, we're going to do some with blueberries. I had blueberries in the freezer, and so it's a great way to utilize those. Those are also going to go in the pancake muffins as well. So let's get cooking, and I'll show you guys how we get those done. Okay, so to make these sugar crusted muffins, it starts with 2 cups of flour. And I'm just going to make a single recipe of this for now, because likely I might be the only one that eats them. But they're going to go into the freezer, so that'll be fine. So we're also going to add in 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then from there, we're going to add in 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Two and a half teaspoons of baking powder. Oops, sorry. And then it's going to be 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Alright, and once you have all of your dry ingredients in here, you're going to just use a wooden spoon and mix it up. So we're just going to give the dry ingredients a good mix. Just want to get it all stirred together. It will continue to combine as you add in the wet ingredients, but it's always a good idea to mix in those dry ingredients first. Alright, so now we're going to add in 1/3 cup of butter. Okay, so we're just going to, most or all, I should say, butter sticks have measurements on them. I know most people should know that, but just in case you don't, it'll tell you right where the 1/3 cup is. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut and then get this into the microwave and get it melted. And while that's melting, we're going to add in the rest of the wet ingredients to our mix. Now, to our pancake batter, we're going to add in 3/4 cup of milk. Now, I use whole milk for this, but you could use 2%, but I wouldn't go any lower than that. You do want some of the milk fat because it'll add the richness to the muffins. Alright, and then from here, I'm going to grab the butter because it's done. Alright, so the butter has melted. It's a little hot, so I'm just going to set it aside for just a minute while I add in the egg. It just takes 1 egg for the muffins. And then I'm going to whisk this a little bit. What I don't want to do is add the super hot butter to the egg itself, because you don't want to accidentally cook any of the egg. It's sensitive to heat, and so about when it looks kind of like this right here, you can go ahead and add in the melted butter, because at that point you should be okay and it shouldn't curdle the egg at all. And so this batter is not going to be a super thin batter like some muffins are. This is actually going to be more thick, almost like a shortcake batter is what it's going to be like. And so when you're all done, this is what it'll look like. And as you can see, it's thick, it's not thin, so you actually have to scoop this out. But I'm going to show you just with a spoon, in case not everybody has like an ice cream scoop that they use to scoop out their muffins, so I'm going to just use a spoon. But you're going to want to take, this recipe makes 12 muffins. So you want to make sure that you spray your pan, because you don't want it to stick. And it's inevitable, some will probably stick, but just spray each one individually. And then we're going to go ahead and spoon it in there. And so now at this point you can leave these plain, which they're just as good plain, or you can add in fruit. So I do have some blueberries that were fresh blueberries from the summer that we got at the grocery store, and we froze them, vacuum sealed them to keep them fresh. It keeps freezer burn off of them. And so I'm going to open these up and add these in here, and so we will have blueberry muffins. And then the rest of the blueberries I'm going to actually use for some of the pancake muffins as well. So you'll just take it, bring this back over here so you guys can see, and just drop in your frozen blueberries. You can use fresh too. This is just what I have, so I like to buy fruit when it's in season and then freeze it, so that way we can enjoy it throughout the year. And you can add as little or as much as you want into the batter. Now just know that if these are fresh blueberries, you want to be careful stirring them, because they're really easy to break up when they're fresh. But when it's frozen, it's not as bad. And so I'll start with this, and we'll just spoon it in and see. You can always top, add a few more blueberries in if you want to, but I feel like this will probably be enough. It'll give each muffin a couple of blueberries, and we should be good. You just want to fill it about 3/4 of the way full. Now, again, this, like I said, this is a dough that's more like a shortcake, so it's going to be rough looking. It's not going to be like a smooth, muffin. I mean, sometimes muffins have cracked tops, but you'll see when they are baked what they'll look like. And these little crevices that are created because of the consistency of the dough actually help, because these muffins, when they come out, if you're eating them right away, you're going to roll them in melted butter and then cinnamon sugar. And so these crevices of the muffins will actually hold and cling to that butter. And so we'll add, this one doesn't have very many, so I'll find a few and add a couple more into it. And this one looks like it might have one, so and if you wind up having where, okay, I still have just a little bit, seems a little uneven, just add a little bit more of your dough to one of the other muffins. It's real easy to get it sometimes a little uneven. But again, I don't like to use a scoop for these muffins because I like the look, and maybe it's just because that's what I grew up with, of having that rough look to it. So I'm gonna add a couple extra blueberries to that one. And actually I think it was this one right here. All right, so, and that's it. This is what we're looking for right here. And so I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and then we're gonna bake them, and they bake, my recipe, they will bake at 450 degrees for 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and get those in the oven, and we can then work on the pancake muffins next. All right, so into the oven they go. Put them down here. I've got both ovens going today for this, and we're gonna set a timer for 20 minutes. And now we're gonna work on the pancake muffins and get those together. Okay, so for the pancakes, this is a recipe I found a while ago. I don't even remember from where, but we love them. And so what I'm gonna be doing is turning these from pancakes into pancake muffins. And I have actually never done that before, but I saw a video on Instagram, probably via TikTok, on pancake muffins. So we're gonna try that just because it's just something different to do and a lot easier than making the pancakes, or at least I'm hoping so. So we'll see what happens. So in my bowl, I've got 2 cups of flour. Now I am doubling this recipe in really kind of hopes that this actually works. And so we'll see how it goes. But before we get going with what's in here, we need to make some buttermilk. And in order to do that, you just need milk and vinegar. Now you can obviously buy buttermilk, but if you don't have it, it's really simple to do. Now, again, we are doubling this recipe, so it's gonna be 1.5 cups of milk. And to that, you're just adding white vinegar, and it's gonna be a total of 4 tablespoons of vinegar. And that will help curdle the milk and create buttermilk. And I do this every time I make pancakes. Actually, it's rare that I just buy buttermilk for these pancakes. This just works. We always have milk in the house, and we always have vinegar in the house. So that's just what I use. And I'm gonna give it, oops, I think I'm gonna give it, there we go, a quick stir, and to just get that mixed in. And you let this sit for like 5 minutes. So it's always best to do this part first, but you'll see it, you can even start to feel it thickening, and you'll see it in about 5 minutes it curdles. So we're gonna set that aside. And then we're gonna go ahead and start with the dry ingredients while that's setting up. And so from here, again, 4 cups, I'm sorry, not 4 cups, 2 cups of flour. And to that, we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, usually, I actually add in maple sugar to it, but oops, these are wet. I cannot find maple sugar right now. I'm having a really hard time. It used to be available in the grocery store, and then it's just right now not available, and what is on Amazon is kind of crazy expensive, and so I'll just go back to regular sugar for now until I can find it again. So it's just 2 tablespoons of sugar. I just find that the maple sugar adds a little sweetness to it, maple flavoring that, you know, regular sugar does not, and so I tend to like it just a little bit better. So, okay, from here we're gonna add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda, if I can find it. Hold on 1 second. I put it somewhere. Put it behind my camera, which doesn't always help. So, okay, from here it's just going to be 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I will make sure that I have the recipe listed below so you can see it. And then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of salt. All right, from here I'm just going to give the dry ingredients a stir. I'm just using the same wooden spoon I used for making the muffins. And then, okay, so from here we're gonna add in 2 eggs. Let me check the milk here. So it hasn't quite been 5 minutes, but I know it'll be fine. You'll again start to see it a little curdling the longer you let it set, but I'm just going to go ahead and add it because I know it's going to be just fine. You're looking for that tangy flavor from a buttermilk, which is why, you know, as long as they're there, it'll give you that same taste. So don't worry, like if you don't have 5 minutes, you're running behind, you only have so much time to quickly put it together, that's okay. Just mix the two together, stir it up. Even if you can let it sit for a minute, that's perfectly fine. So from here, before I add in my melted butter, because again, I'm trying not to curdle my eggs, I want to go ahead and add in a little vanilla extract. I like to do that because it adds just a little extra flavor to the pancakes. So we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I do that too when I make my waffles. Now I have a very different recipe for my waffles because I use cake flour for it, which makes them light and fluffy. And so, but it just kind of enhances the flavor. It makes it taste even better. All right, so from here we're going to be adding in 4 tablespoons of melted butter. So again, with it being hot, just make sure you're not pouring it directly on top of your eggs. All right, and typical with pancake batter, you know, you do want some lumps in it, but I like to smooth it out just a touch more. And again, I have not returned these, baked these in the oven into muffins. So we're gonna be testing this recipe out together. I mean, the recipe itself I've used many times. Bake it in the oven and making it into muffins is something completely new for me. So we're just gonna do this together and hope that it works. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because you know what? Sometimes recipes don't work in the kitchen, and that's just the way it goes. It's not that everything you make is always going to turn out, but it's worth trying and seeing how they are. So I pulled out 2 muffin tins. Push you guys back. So I pulled out 2 muffin tins, so we'll see how many we get. Now the video showed people lining this with butter. I feel like because of the butter that's in there, that's sufficient. I don't want to overdo it with the butter. So I'm going to spray, give these a good spray, and we'll see how they do. Now for this, I am going to use a scoop. I feel like that's going to be a little bit better. I will be right back when okay, got it. Not everything goes back where it's supposed to, so sometimes I gotta search. You will start to see with your pancake batter, see if you guys can see this, it'll start to kind of fluff up. You're gonna start to see some expansion in there, and that's what you wanna see when you're making it. So again, this can just go to straight pancakes in the pan. But for this time around, I really do want to try the muffins. I like the idea. This morning, I pulled out one of the breakfast burritos from yesterday that I made, and pulled it out as soon as I made coffee this morning, so it had time to thaw on the countertop a little bit. And I popped it in our microwave for 2 minutes, and that heated it through, and it worked really well. I was actually surprised at how well it worked being frozen. So I would definitely say go for it. Even not having in all of that, like say Velveeta cheese to keep the whole base of it creamy, it was still really, really good. I was surprised, and I liked the ease of just being able to pull it out. I had an early morning appointment this morning, and so I didn't want to really spend a lot of time making breakfast, and so it really makes a difference. So I'm eager to try these and see how these turn out. Okay, so not quite 24. Let's see, 14, 16, 18, 20. We got 20. And so the video that I saw, they did mini muffins. I opted to just do regular size, but so it's up to you. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna top some of these. Now, I cooked I cooked some bacon that I had in the fridge still. So I'm just going to crumble the bacon up and put that on top. And I'm also going to leave some plain, but I'm going to top some with blueberries. And then I'm also going to top some with mini chocolate chips. So it'll give it a little bit of variety. It'll change it up and just give some options. Here are some of our frozen blueberries. Oops. I'm going to push those down just a touch into the pancake batter. And I do have some blueberries still left, so I will just leave them out and then I can put them in yogurt, or we can just eat them once they are thawed. So there's just a few left, but we'll be able to enjoy some fresh summer blueberries in the middle of winter, or what should be winter in Florida. So, all right, so this is the one with the bacon and blueberry, and then I'm gonna just top some of these with chocolate chips, and then probably just do 6, and then that. And you can put as little or as much as you want, and again, you can put other things. You can do strawberries, you know, it's whatever you want to do to customize this to fit for your family. But this is what works for us. So I'm going to get these in the oven. Now I have the oven set at 350 degrees. Okay, so the timer has gone off, and so the muffins are ready. Let me grab this towel quick. And here they are. This is what they look like when they come out. They're nice and brown. They're crunchy looking. So we're going to give them 5 minutes to cool. Turn off, set the timer for 5 minutes, and while that's cooling, we're going to get the cinnamon sugar put together, so that way in 5 minutes we'll roll them in butter. We'll only roll some because some of these I'm actually going to freeze, so I don't want to roll it in butter and cinnamon sugar. I can do that later. I just want to make sure that when they thaw, that the cinnamon sugar doesn't dissolve on the muffin and then it's kind of lost. So let me go ahead and get the cinnamon sugar set up. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes with the muffins. They're still going to be really hot, but you should be able, actually been a little bit longer. My husband came out of the office. So you're going to take the muffin out. You're going to roll it in butter. Now I've already made my cinnamon sugar. This is probably 1.5 cups, almost 2 cups of sugar, which is probably more than we need. And about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon sugar, but make it to your liking. You're going to then roll it in the cinnamon sugar, and you're just going to coat the entire thing. And it doesn't have to be a crazy heavy coat of sugar, but it is going to look like that. So I'm only going to do a couple because the rest of these are all going to cool off and then go in the freezer, and then I'll pull them out later. And so, and again, you can even do it like this and toss it. It's however you want to kind of coat it. And again, this is what you're looking for. So I'm going to do about 6 of these, and then I'll save the other 6 for the freezer. And so when I pull them out and thaw them, these can come out of the freezer overnight and sit on the counter and thaw. And then I can just, I don't even have to do the melted butter and cinnamon sugar. You can just warm them up, cut them, and top them with butter. That would be totally fine too. But this is just one way to do it. All right. I hear the timer for the pancake muffins, so I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my hands off and pull those out. Okay, so let's get Alright, so here are the pancake muffins. Now these are the blueberry and the bacon ones. I stuck a little metal toothpick in just to make sure they came out clean. This one was still a little underdone, and so I left them in there just a touch longer. So they do take about 15 to 16 minutes depending on your oven. But then this is it. So we're gonna set these aside, and then these had finished up first, and so these are just the plain and the chocolate chip. So I'm gonna pull one out and try it because I'm actually really curious, and they're very, very hot still. And I would think and I have not ever frozen these before. I don't know how long in the microwave, then you pull them out, but I would say anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. Start at 30 seconds and check them. Every microwave is different, so see how these turned out. They're so hot. It tastes like a pancake. So it's a little bit squishy texture, but that's nice and fluffy. And again, this one's just plain. I'm actually going to, ooh, that is really hot. Take it and dip it in my melted butter just for a minute. Oh yeah, and it's just a pancake. And so that works really well, and that's a great, easy grab and go, especially if you have kids for the morning. Pull them out and then just pop them in the microwave, warm them up, and top them with maple syrup, with butter, whatever. So, and since we're doing it, I'm going to cut into one of these muffins, and as you can see, the inside of them, oh, let's see, there we go. It's got some blueberries. They're tender, they're flaky. And so good. My dog is swirling on the floor waiting for me to drop something for him. But yeah, and you can top this with butter because butter makes everything better. I'm going to cheat a little bit and just dunk it right here instead of getting some butter. But we usually will add in butter, but you don't need it. It's just yum. Why wouldn't you? But so good, so fresh. Those blueberries are amazing. So wonderful. And again, any kind of fresh fruit you want to use, frozen fruit works too, or just plain. If you don't even have the fruit, you can make this. The original recipe for this actually called for shortening. I had changed that years ago to butter. So if you don't have any butter in the house, or you can't eat butter, you can use shortening for it as well, and then you'll still get the same consistency, the same tender. You won't maybe get as rich of a flavor because it's not butter, but it will still taste good. That's how I grew up eating it. I just changed the recipe years ago to butter from shortening. And so I am going to finish rolling some of these and get this done, and then I'm going to pull out the oatmeal bake and show you guys. Daughter loved it. She dug into it while it was still warm, and so she had some last night as a snack, and so she definitely gave it a thumbs up. She really enjoyed it, so that was definitely the right flavor to make. And so I'm going to get this finished, and then we'll get that cut and then packaged up, and then that will wrap this up for just some breakfast ideas. Breakfast is pretty limitless on what you have, but this just kind of gives you a few ideas of something maybe you hadn't thought of, because I honestly had never thought of making pancakes into muffins. It just didn't cross my mind because I usually just make pancakes. And so, but it was fun to try, definitely worth it. I'll be, once those cool, popping those in the freezer as well for just a couple of things that I can grab out in the morning and add to my eggs or whatever I'm having that morning for breakfast. So, all right, let's get this finished up so we can move on. Okay, so I'm gonna take out the rest of these muffins, and including the pancake ones, and get them lined onto a cookie sheet so they will continue to cool. So that way, once they're cool, we can get them packaged up and into the freezer. So these are still pretty hot. Kind of ran out of room, so we're just gonna put this one on the plate and just let it cool. So, all right, I'm gonna get these set off to the side and go grab our oatmeal bake. Okay, and then you can just see what we have. So this gives us a lot of variety for people to choose from and to enjoy. Okay, so here is the apple pie oatmeal bake that I did. And so you can see we already kind of dug into it last night. My daughter wanted a snack yesterday afternoon, I should say, after I was done filming. So I am just going to cut this up and then into portions. And then from here, I'm just going to, I like to wrap them up and vacuum seal them in a bag, and that keeps any freezer stuff off of it. And you can see it's still really tender. Even though there was some added, you know, almond milk to it, and because I'm pretty sure I'll definitely be checking when I go back and look at the video if I miscounted on the oats. I feel like I did. So, but it's still super soft, definitely an oatmeal consistency with the added extra almond milk, so which is, you know, works really well for us. And so but again, keep in mind you can change up these flavors. I will link the recipe below to the original recipe, but you can play around with the measurements and the ingredients and do what your family likes or what you like, and that what works. Okay, so I thought I'd pop back on here real quick and show you guys. I individually cut and wrap the oatmeal in plastic wrap, and so now I have in the past put these in a vacuum seal bag and sealed it. I decided today, for time's sake, that I'm actually going to wrap them in plastic wrap and not use the vacuum seal, and so oh hello, and then put them all inside of a freezer bag. And so once they're in there, then we can grab it individually. Because I made this for our daughter who can't have any dairy, I didn't want to vacuum seal because we're likely going to be eating this a lot quicker than if it was just myself. So last time I made it with milk, and did it as a peaches and cream flavor, and so I was the only one to eat it. So vacuum sealing it that way actually worked because I didn't eat it as quickly, and so I didn't have to worry about freezer burn because I vacuum sealed it. But because she's gonna eat this and I'm gonna eat this, we'll go through it quicker, so it made more sense to wrap it in plastic wrap and then put it in a freezer bag. And then that way, because while I could utilize the vacuum seal bags again and then just reseal it for something else, this is much easier. So I am going to get this freezer bag packed with the oatmeal and get this in the freezer, but I just wanted to pop on and realize that I didn't show you guys once I was done and how I did it. But again, if it's something that you have a larger family, everyone's going to eat, you can just package this, leave it in the pan and have it pre-cut, and then just access that throughout the week. Or you can put it in to-go containers if you work outside of your home and you need to take breakfast with you. And some people like cold oatmeal as well, so you can eat this cold. I prefer mine warm. It's just a personal preference, but you can eat it cold if you'd like as well. So there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Just, you know, find the way that works best for you and your family. So again, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you, and have a good day. See you later.